Hey everyone, Fox from Fox and Kit Woodworks Fox Den Videos. Hey, you looking for a folding table that you can put in your shop or garage, whether it's for your business or DIY stuff? Gone to the big box stores, saw those ones that have the screw-in legs and for $89 to $100 don't come with much? Well, tell you what, I found this Worx Pegasus 2-in-1 folding bench. This thing is a game changer. You need to stay tuned and see why. I think this is going to be my new table, and I'm going to get rid of those other ones and sell them at the yard sale so I can pick up another one or two of these. Stay tuned. Hey, look, we're back. It's nighttime. I'm in different clothes. Must be a different day. That's what happens with life. So, starting off where I left off, this workbench is amazing. I've been using it for about 4 weeks. I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the features that I really like about this, some of the cool things you can do with it. But first, I want to talk about my personal experience with workbenches and when I first started off woodworking. When I first started tackling my DIY, weekend warrior type stuff, I didn't have a bench. I had a table saw, and I would put my stuff on the table saw, or I'd put it on chairs, or I'd put it on countertops outside, tables outside, or just on the ground. And though it worked, it sometimes made it a little more difficult to actually be able to get things done or know where things are at. And I ended up quickly buying a different workbench, or I should say my first workbench for my projects and DIY stuff. The first bench I bought was a Husky folding, or I should say collapsible workbench. And it has screw-in legs and goes together relatively easy and apart, has some different attachments on it, but nothing like this one comes with. So let me go ahead and grab that bench for you guys so you can see what it looks like. Okay, I'm back. So here is my original workbench that I got for doing my projects and to be able to use. This is the Husky. You can buy it at Home Depot for about $89. And it's a solid bench. It's definitely something you can go with and an option. But now that I've been doing woodworking for a while and getting into more projects and finer woodworking, I have found out that this other bench, this Worx Pegasus, has actually got a lot more features and things that I use now and would have even used then when I first started out doing my weekend woodworking or weekend DIY projects. So, the Husky bench, what it comes with. First off, when you look at it, it comes with 4 legs that screw into these holes. And in the center here, which you can't see, was a red box. In that red box, it came with a few little attachments and tools, nothing to really, write home about. But the main thing it came with, and if you look right here, you can see this red circle. It allows you to turn this workbench into a router table. See, it's all painted up here. And the way that thing works is that there's basically different inserts that you could put in there for different size router bits and things like that. And, at the time, I didn't even have a router. I didn't even have a trim router. I didn't even look at trying to use it for anything. I ended up chucking it and throwing it away because it was just taking up more storage space, even though it goes on the back of this, or it was getting in the way and falling off. So I just got rid of it. This bench, though, made it through lots of projects, did a lot of painting on it. Along the way, I picked up a second one, and I even picked up a third bench, which was the Keeter folding bench. And I'm not going to go grab it out. It's basically very similar to this. It does sit at a different height, so it didn't match well with these two benches in the end. But basically, the legs drop out the bottom. There's a little center locking piece. And when you do that locking piece, it won't go anywhere. But again, it didn't come with any other real attachments. Now looking back at when I started, and if this bench below was available, I would without a doubt have gone with this bench. And here are some of the features why. Let me bring this up here actually. First off, workspace area. The Pegasus Workbench comes in at 31 inches. The Husky comes in at 34.5. So you gain about, 3.5 inches of length in the Husky bench. However, these are both flush on the back. there. You have a width of 21 and 3/4 versus the Worx Pegasus. You get 25 inches. So you gain 3 1/4 inches. So work surface area is about the same on these two. It's just how it's dimensionally placed. Next big feature, and I'll get some pictures up for you guys and zoom in shots in a minute, but I really like the fact that this tabletop has all of these little pocket places to store different materials. Go ahead. If you haven't got your drink, go ahead and pour yourself one. I'm going to take a sip now. Oh, that's good. So anyways, basically, you know, you have different compartments here, and what I've done before when I've been working on projects is I'll set drill bits here, screws here, my glue can lay here on its side, or I can put it up vertically on some of the thinner ones. I'll put, you know, bolts and nuts and things in there, whatever I have. So I have some actual like storage / organization while I'm working on a project. Hi, everyone, and we're back. Hope you have your favorite drink. They say third time's a charm. Had some issues yesterday, but same hat, different shirt, same pants. Let's get back to it. All right. So next, one of the big features that I really like about this Worx Pegasus bench is the clamping systems that come with it and that it accepts. I'm a clamp fiend. I have dovetail clamps, F clamps, squeeze clamps, those little chip clamps, bar clamps, pipe clamps. I got lots of clamps. But one of the things that I like about this is it has a system that I don't have, but it also can use some of the systems I do have. And we're going to go ahead and start with that new system it has. What it has is the dog ear clamping system. And basically what dog ears are holes that are drilled in to a work surface. Could be a tabletop, or like this bench has them pre-drilled. They're 20mm holes. They do come in other sizes, but that's the common standard size. And what they are holes that are spaced out evenly over X amount of inches. On this, I believe they're set up every 4 inches. And you have this little 20mm, you know, nub that comes out of it. And there's different clamps that you can get for it. And they basically go in there and you can set up your pieces of wood. The nice thing about it is it allows you to use other additional pieces that you may already have or want to invest in. And you can use those dog ear clamps in this bench. It does come with 4 of these backstops. And then it works in collaboration with these 2 clamps, which we'll get to in a second. But let me go ahead and show you some of the dog clamps that I have, or dog ear clamps that I have, that work with this system. First, as you can see here in front of me, this is the Win parallel bar clamps. You can find these at Lowe's. Well, I should say good luck finding these at Lowe's. They're all sold out, but hopefully they'll come back in stock. At the time, they had a sale on them. I think I got these for about $120, and I got 4 bar clamps. I got these 224s and then 2 big 50, I think 6 inches or 52 inches, somewhere in there. I can't remember. And then one of the other nice things that it comes with is these 4 dog ear jigs. So what these are, they have 2 different sizes that they come with. These are the shorter ones, excuse me, these are the longer ones. They have some shorter ones too. But basically you can use these in any dog ear system, put them in, and then this allows you to take your parallel clamps or parallel bar clamps, slide those in. And now if I'm doing a glue up on a piece of wood, I can actually put that piece of wood in here and squeeze them down and get it all nice and tight. Really cool that I can actually use this feature with it. I've used it already to repair a cabinet for a client. They wanted it repaired, and I was able to actually use these clamping systems in this table to be able to set up a giant rectangle and then glue it all together. So now let me pull these out and show you what system it actually comes with. So it comes with its own dog ears stops on the bottom, and it has storage for them, which is quite nice. And they simply just drop in the holes and they're set up. You can, let me go ahead and take a step back. You can purchase other items to be able to clamp against these. Because all of these are going to do, if you were to turn them this way, is just kind of stop a piece from going too far one direction or the other. But if you were to buy something like this, which is basically a friction-based clamp, you could put it in here, squeeze it against the board, or put it up nice tight against the board, and when you turn this thing over, it actually comes out about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, and just gives it that last final squeeze to hold it in place. However, you don't even need to buy these. These are just additional pieces that are good to have if you're trying to do multiple builds, or have more projects and you need it to hold in a little better. But it comes with these squeeze clamps. Now, the nice thing with these squeeze clamps is that they have nice storage on the Worx Pegasus bench itself. There's 2 slots down here, and they slide in there, and then you just give it a couple squeezes and it holds it in place. When you want to remove them, you just push this back button, slide it out, and they'll pop right out. Now that we have our clamp out, you're like, well, this is like the DeWalt, or take your pick of brands at Home Depot, squeeze clamps. However, the one feature that I really like about these is instead of just having a removable end piece, because these are not removable, you can't flip them around to do push-outs, they do have their own basically stopping or adjustment point on the front end. So you can actually slide it up and down this bar. And the way this works is, if you see here, there's these couple knobs in this little square, and you see these metal slots. Well, what this ends up doing is you slide it in to the front here, and it actually slides down that metal rail or slot. And then as you get to the handle, there's a little bit of a kind of a lip, and then a little square piece. Let me just go ahead and pull it out. A little square piece right here that actually moves as you squeeze. So what you do is you drop this into the slot, slide it down, and as you get to the handle, you squeeze in and you put that lip over and in and let go, and now this is locked in place. And it's very easy, very simple. You can do them really quick as you practice with it or use it a little bit more and more. And now they're in place. Well, what are we going to use these for now? Well, the thing that I have found at least 2 applications for, if not 3, is one, doing glue ups. You could lay some paper down here so you don't get a bunch of glue on your table, put your 2 boards in here, and squeeze clamp them in. Or if you're doing sanding, because a lot of times we have a lot of sanding we need to do, and I used to just hold it with my hand and sand and try to get all around it. Well, your hands vibrate a bunch, it slides around, you're not always keeping track of where you're at. An easier way of doing this would be clamping your board in there. So I got this piece of maple behind me. What I'm going to do is go ahead and set it in here, pull it against these dog ear stops, and then all I do is squeeze this down. Now, if you've used squeeze clamps before, the metal bar slides back and forth, and I've got a couple inches sticking out over here. Is there a better way of doing that? Well, the nice thing is since it has this front adjustment piece, you just hold your clamp in place, pull the front end in, so it's nice and snug, and now I just gave it 2 half squeezes. It's locked in. We can then loosen these up, and let's say we need to sand the edges on this piece. What we can do is flip it up on its side, bring it here, slide this one down and in, this one down and in, and now it's a little wobbly, but there. Give it a couple squeezes on each side. And now, again, we're locked in nice and tight, and we can do our edge work, whether it's sanding, put a chamfer on it. So those are just 3 applications that I've already figured out to use for this system. And simply you just loosen them up by hitting these 2 tabs, and your board comes out. Now, removal and storage for this, or stowage for this. Very simple. You could just take them out the way they are, but the way I have found that works best for me and allows them to stow the best, take these front pieces, depress these 2 little black tabs, slide them all the way out, make sure they're slid all the way out the back handles, give it a little bit of a squeeze, slide them back, pop them out. Take these, you put it right back in the slots down here, and you might have to loosen it up a little bit if you squeeze too much, but mine fit in. And now they're in these two slots for the stowage, and just give it a squeeze, and now that's locked in place. We do the same thing on this side, and now that's locked in place. And like I said, it has storage for these dog ear stops right here. So, as I said before, one, it's adding a new clamping system for me that actually is going to really benefit me on the projects I do. And I honestly think, as I said earlier in the video, this bench, because of its ability to work as a simple, getting into DIY stuff on the weekends or entry-level woodworking, you're going to be able to, it'll be able to grow with you because you have all these different clamping options. An additional feature that I really like about this particular bench is the fact that it has these little orange tabs. So that way down the road, when you're maybe working on a bigger project, or let's say need to do something wider, or I should say longer, when it comes to clamping wise, and maybe you don't have the big bar clamps, but you had two of these tables because of projects you've been working on, you can actually lock the tables together. These simply pop out, and they go in these little tabs, which are on all the sides, and now you can lock your benches together. Now, they're just rubber friction. They can kind of pop off a little bit easier. I'll do a further review down the road once I pick up another one of these. But the fact that it'll help keep those tables together, so that way when you have to do a slight adjustment, whether it's sliding it or you're pushing something around, sometimes with the old Husky benches, one bench would move, the other wouldn't, and then I'd have to kind of go around, lift the piece up, and get everything set up. The fact that it'll kind of keep them together, I really like the fact that that's a nice option they added to this table. Finally, the next piece that I really like is the fact that this is not just a workbench or a working table or a collapsible table. It's also a Sawhorse. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and show you how it collapses down into the Sawhorse. And I'm going to go around back and grab another Sawhorse, one of the cheaper ones, and see how well they match up for height. So to drop it into the Sawhorse mode, all you have to do is come down here, and there's two orange tabs. You push in on them, and what I like to do is use my arms to kind of brace it. Once you do that, they'll slide down, let it fall in place. Go to the other side, do the same thing, and now you have a Sawhorse. And if you had a second workbench, you would know that the height and everything is going to match up, and you could take your 2x4s, because it actually has these built-in slots that have been cut out for a 2x4 to fit in, so you can make a nice wide frame. Once you get everything leveled out and set up, you can have a nice flat, big working surface. So let's go ahead and check and see how it measures up to a pre-purchased older Sawhorse. Okay, and I'm back. All right, so I have the Stanley Sawhorse just to see how it sets up for framing wise on it. Already just looking at it, it's going to be a different height and a different width when it comes to the 2x4 setup. But let's just go ahead and see how off it is just to see if it would work. Height wise, we are looking at about an inch lower, and width wise, we are actually a couple inches off. So it's not going to actually work with one of your pre-bought little plastic Stanleys, but let's say maybe you bought a little bit higher end one. So let's just go ahead and see how it works with these Bora speed horses. And the answer is, well, it doesn't fit. So kind of a plus and minus here then we're going to talk about. One, I like the fact that it has the Sawhorse capability. However, you're going to have to, unless you really measure everything out, buy a second one of these tables to be able to use it as a Sawhorse and make some type of frame to work on projects. All right, and we're back. So, plus side, it has the ability to work as a Sawhorse. However, you have to have two of them to be able to match up correctly to make a frame. The nice thing about this, though, where I can see another plus here is, instead of spending the money and buying more of the Sawhorses that you're going to only use for that, or some of the cheaper plastic ones that might be a little bit more rickety, you could take that money and buy a second one of these, and now not only do you have 2 Sawhorses, but you also have 2 tables that you can have a bigger workspace. So kind of some give and take there. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do one more part here. We're going to go ahead and check its dimensions compared to the Husky, just for the fact that if you are working out of your garage or running a small business, space can be an issue. If you look at my garage, it is packed full, and I am always trying to reorganize to make some space savings to be able to work on projects or hold things there. So right now I have them pretty much flushed up on the back here, and what I am already immediately noticing is the fact that in the collapsed state, they are the same height. There might be a 1/4 inch here on the height, but that's not too bad. But the 2 areas that you're probably going to worry about is how much depth it has and how wide it is. So compared to the Husky that you go and find at Home Depot, the Worx Pegasus comes in at about 5.5 inches thick, versus the Husky comes in about 4.25. So you're gaining about 1.25 inches of thickness on the Pegasus. However, it is giving you some more features, and it is a collapsible and folding bench. But it's going to be like some of your bigger Sawhorses that are better built than the plastic ones, and might be better to hold more weight up. This here actually can hold up to 300 pounds in the table form. I'll have to look up what the actual weight is it holds in the Sawhorse, but it's a pretty robust little table. For the depth, you are going to gain 3.25 inches on its depth for when you're stowing it. However, in my opinion, on the fact that you're getting about the same workspace on the table itself, but you're getting so many additional features with this one, I honestly think that the Worx Pegasus bench has more ability to grow with you. It's more bang for its buck. And if you can make the space work for this, you're most likely going to be able to make it work for the Worx Pegasus. All right, so my final verdicts, and we'll call it the good, the bad, and the ugly, for the Worx Pegasus 2-in-1 folding table workbench. The good. I really like the fact that it is so collapsible and it fits about the same profile as the Husky. Next, the fact that it comes with a whole new clamping system that I don't have with the dog gears, and on top of that comes with the parts to get started on it, between the 4 dog ear backstops and the clamps that work in these slots to be able to actually clamp things down to the bench, both vertically and horizontally. Next, the fact that they also have all these little storage containers for when you're working on the bench, and you're able to put your drill bits here, your screws here, your bolts here, your glue over here, whatever the case may be. I like the fact that they have some built-in storage, so that way you're not having your little storage containers stacked up here on your bench taking up your space or off to somewhere else. It's just all in one spot. The fact that you can make it into a Sawhorse, especially if you have 2 of them, where you can make a bigger frame to be able to have larger work bases, using a sheet of plywood or whatever you have around. Finally, the other part of the good, and I will actually show the clip of it at the end of this video, or excuse me, not the end of this video, but the end of this segment, before the final stamp of approval or disapproval, is the fact that it can set up and break down so quickly. In the video, you'll be able to see me basically set this up, take it back down, versus the Husky, and some of the issues that I ran into that, which made it take a little bit longer to put up. For the fact that all of that comes in on this bench together are all the reasons why I really like this bench and are in my good section. The bad. For the bad, really the only bad that I can find so far on this, 2 things maybe, would be the fact that to use it as a true Sawhorse setup, to make a bigger frame, to be able to have bigger work areas, or whatever your needs are for that, you do have to buy a second one of these, and that might be a big investment for DIYers or people getting into woodworking. Secondly, it's got a 300-pound work capacity. That's plenty fine. You had 2 tables, you got 600. There are some tables out there, like I was saying, the Pony Easy Clamp, that say they support 500 for the table and then I think up to $1,000 for the Sawhorse. But really, for most of your projects you're going to be doing for your, weekend warrior type stuff, DIYer, 300 pounds is going to be plenty. The ugly. Ugly is only going to be the price point. $129, especially if you're getting in new to it when it's not on sale, is quite a bit of money. However, the silver lining that saves it is the fact that if you buy 2 of these and put them together with these locking points, you are developing a bigger bench for you. And if you are working in a small form factor like I am out of a garage, or maybe you're trying to be portable, you're spending less money than a Husky bench that's on the wheels for your garage or your shop. Now, if you have a big shop, probably not really that big of a concern. You're going to be using this outdoor applications. But for like me, I do have a Husky bench. It takes up a lot of space. Currently, that's how I'm using it in the shop, though, is to have it as a work area. But the Husky bench is 48 inches by, I believe, 24 inches. So this actually gives you a better or bigger workspace to work on at a price point that's about $50 less after tax compared to the Husky. Okay, so does it get the Fox stamp of approval? Absolutely, 100% it does. The fact that even at $149, which is a little bit pricey if you're looking to get into a workbench, especially if you're a weekend warrior, DIYer, or a beginner intermediate woodworker, comparatively to the Husky, it comes with so many more options and basically ability to grow with you as you do more projects or build your knowledge base. And if you buy a second one, you just expand it out even more. Bigger work surface area. It's collapsible, stows away easily, locks together. There's a bunch of things there. So absolutely 100% gets the Fox stamp of approval. And I'm going to go ahead and leave in the description a link to my Amazon affiliate link. And that way, if you're looking to purchase it or keep an eye on it, put it in that, cart and let it sit there until it goes on sale. It'll be there for you. So thank you all for watching the review of the Worx Pegasus 2-in-1 folding table workbench. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Share it to all your other DIYers, weekend woodworkers, or anyone else you know. Thanks. Stay safe. Have a great day.